Hey guys, gals, and everything in between. I'm Ken of Armstar Games, and today I'm going to be doing a video over my top 100 Pokemon, which I got the list for by using the My Favorite Pokemon picker at www.dragonflycave.com/favorite. If you want to do this for yourself, go ahead. It's quite enjoyable. It takes me about an hour and a half to 2 hours to get this done. And yes, this video is being made because I saw MJTV's video on this idea. I thought it was interesting enough, and I hope he doesn't get too upset about me making this video. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Number 100, Pomola. It's a cute Pokemon that sleeps a lot, something I wish I could do more often. Number 99, Centiskorch. It's an awesome fiery insect. I don't like centipedes, but I love Centiskorch. Number 98, Froakie. It's a really cool Pokemon, although I have to say I believe it's because of the anime and Ash eventually evolving it into what became Ash Greninja is why I like it so much, because personally in the games I've never really cared for it. 97, Talonflame, because it was a really helpful Pokemon for hatching eggs more quickly in X and Y when I was breeding for shinies. And I consider myself a Pokemon breeder in the game, so anything that can speed up that rather lengthy process of breeding and hatching the eggs is something I will always look forward to. 96, Suicune, because it is Suicune. There's nothing else to say. It's a beautiful Pokemon. 95, Sobble, because it reminds me of a more modern version of a Bonsly. Bonsly. The one that Brock carried around that eventually evolves into Sudowoodo. So, because of that, I just always find it to be an interesting Pokemon, actually, even though it's far from one of my favorite starters. 94, Origin Form Giratina, because I like how it hovers around without legs. Although I don't have a picture of it without legs, so sorry, but you're getting a picture of it with legs, even though that will come into play later in the list. Forgive me for that, but I've been working on this for quite a while now, as I said in the intro. 93, Tapu Lele, because it is the best Tapu in the entire set. The rest are not nearly as good looking. 92, Piplup, because I love Piplup, but I do not like either of its evolutions. I find the second stage too derpy, and the third stage is just dumb. 91, Ho-Oh, because I started with Pokemon Gold version back in Gen 2. 90, Vivillon, because in Gen 6, I enjoyed the process of gathering every pattern that there was for this Pokemon. I am proud to say that I own every pattern, even the promotional ones, in my game. Well, it's in Pokemon Bank now, or Pokemon Home now, which I take pride in the fact that I have all the patterns legitimately in my game. 89, Hitmontop, because it is by far the best Hitmon that's ever been made. 88, Low-Key Toxtricity. I do not own this one, but I love the color combination of the electric blue and toxic purple. They both just scream neon lights to me, and because of that, I just love this color combination. 87, Galarian Ponyta, because it reminds me of cotton candy, and I used to love cotton candy, plus it is a unicorn Pokemon. Yeehaw. 86, Galarian Stunfisk, because I love that it is a bear trap. 85, Dragonair, because it is by far the best one out of its entire evolutionary line, because Dragonite is ugly and should not be part of this set. 84, Chansey, because when I think of Chansey, I think of Nurse Joy. When I think of Nurse Joy, I think of Chansey, and because of the anime, they've just been drilled into my head so much that I guess they became one of my favorite Pokemon. 83, Fortress, because I liked how it moved in the anime, to be completely honest. 82, Lanoon, I really don't have a reason for this other than the fact that it evolved from a Zigzagoon I had named Ziggy that I used to sweep opponents throughout the Oris era of the games. 81. Flygon, because it's Flygon. I don't really know how to explain it. It just seems like a really good Pokemon. It's really cool. It's one that, while it's never screamed out, hey, this is my favorite Pokemon, it's one that I've always thought of when I think, okay, which Pokemon do I like? Number 80. Tangrowth. Entirely because of the card game back in the X and Y era when I was able to use it to wipe out opponents' boards pretty easily with its Giga Drain, and I do not remember its first attack. It was a really good card though, and I liked using it. 79. Tropius, because growing up I always thought it was the last stage of a male Chikorita. 78. Leafeon, because it is an evolution. Number 77. Mudkip, because it is a meme, and when I see it shiny, all my brain goes to is, oh my god, it's bubblegum! 76. Orbeetle, because growing up I was really into aliens, UFOs, and bugs. So to have all those things put into one as a UFO beetle is just amazing to me. And the fact that it is a bug psychic type really helps make it a strong powerhouse in the games, in my opinion. 75. Lilligant, because it's cute. That's all there is to it. It's cute. 74. Ekans, because of Team Rocket. 73. Delibird, because I love that it's random if it will either heal or hurt the opponent's Pokemon. I love random chance moves in Pokemon games. That's why I love Metronome and other such things like Psywave. It's cool to me that you have to leave it up to chance every once in a while. 72. Coughing, because of Team Rocket in the anime. 71. Giratina, the original form that has all its legs. I just really like it. I love the type combination, and I wish they would have more dark Pokemon that exist, like darker origin Pokemon that would exist. 70. Go-Goat. Now, Go-Goat is a special case for me. When I was playing through my Y version of Pokemon, I only ran into shiny Go-Goats. So I never knew they were shiny because when I was playing, I was also watching TV or chatting on the phone, messaging people, drawing, something else that would also divide my attention. So I never realized I caught a shiny. Or that I kept running into shinies because I saw them so often, I assumed it was the normal coloration. I did not know I had a shiny Go-Goat until after my wife had looked at my team and pointed it out to me that it was a shiny Go-Goat. 69. Joltik, because it is probably the cutest bug-type Pokemon that will ever exist. 68. Lurantis. I don't know why I like Lurantis. I think it might be because it looks like it's wearing a kimono, which I really like. Plus, I believe it's based off of the orcish locust. It's the locust that looks like a flower. It's a praying mantis. Yeah, mantis, not locust. It's the Orcus mantis. And it's a really cool animal, so obviously a Pokemon based on the really cool insect would be a cool Pokemon. 67. Pachirisu. It is one of the best Pikachu clones. I would say top 4 or 5 Pikachu clones, honestly. And I just find it to be adorable. 66. Florges. I just love Florges. I love the different colorations of flowers on its pre-evolutions. I loved how you had to get a stone to evolve it because it was a stronger Pokemon, honestly. And it was the introduction of the Fairy type, which helped balance out the OP to Dragon type, in my opinion. 65. Lugia, because it's the counter mascot to the Pokemon game I started with and because of the Pokemon 2000 movie. 64. Evoltal. Now, Evoltal is the mascot Pokemon that pulled me back into Pokemon. Before 6th Gen, I had not played 5th or 4th Gen really. There was stuff going on in my life which made it where I couldn't bring myself to play a Pokemon game. I had to step away, take a break. But as soon as I saw Evoltal on the cover of Pokemon Y, I knew I had to play that game. And so, in a weird way, without Evoltal, I wouldn't be making this video because it is what pulled me back in after being away for many years from the franchise. Of course, I still played the TCG throughout all the years because I'm a geek, I love the TCG, I always have. But that was a different thing from the video games. Also, I feel like it was a unique Pokemon, but now that I'm thinking about it and having it right next to Lugia on my list, Evoltal is pretty much like a Shadow Lugia in a weird way. It looks like a demonic version of Lugia, which might be why it called to me so extremely. I know this is a bit longer of a number on this list, but this is an amazing Pokemon that is the entire reason I am probably sitting here today making this video instead of doing something else with my time. 63. Gothitelle. I really do like Gothitelle, although part of me feels like it could do with a few less ribbons. I went through a weird semi-gothic stage in high school, so I guess that's why this calls to me, even though I'm not attached to 5th Gen Pokemon. 62. Poipole, because it is by far the cutest Ultra Beast in the world. I wish that they would actually make a game set in the Ultra Beast world or Ultra world, whatever, so that we could see the other starters that went along with Poipole, since its Pokédex entry says it is a starter from the world that it comes from. I just really want to see what the counterparts are. I feel like that would be an amazing game. Even as a side game, let us see that. Let us understand more about the world of Ultra Beast. I don't really care for Ultra Beast, but I feel like leaving it where they haven't explained enough is actually going to hurt the overall story of it. 61. Slowking, because the movie Pokemon 2000, where it seemed like a grumpy old man, and because I like all King Rock evolutions. I've never seen one that I dislike. Number 60. Chandelure, because it's an awesome possessed ghost chandelier, and its shiny is perfect. 59. Espeon, because it's an evolution and it's a Gentoo Pokemon. Two of my favorite things. 58. Mew. Now, Mew is the ancestor to all Pokemon, and Pokemon is a game that has science at its core. There is no god of Pokemon. Arceus is a false prophet at best, and a complete liar at worst. Mew is the originator. He is the ancestor to all Pokemon, which means Arceus comes from Mew, not Mew from Arceus. You can't override the history that was set up for almost 15 years just to try to bring a new light to a Pokemon. I'm sorry, I know this is about Mew, but I hate Arceus, and that's what forces me to like Mew even more. 57. Arcanine, because it's a Pokemon literally classified as the legendary Pokemon. It's just an awesome looking Pokemon that's strong and well designed. 56. Meloetta, because I love its music gimmick, and it's a beautiful Pokemon. 55. Baniri, because it's an adorable early game normal type, which is a rare event. 54. Zigzagoon, better known by my friends as Ziggy, due to the beast of a Pokemon I raised from Oris. 53. Girafarig, because I love the concept of it having two heads and that they both are sentient beings that are able to think independently of each other. 52. Frostlash, because I love the way they were able to integrate its mythos into its design. It is a beautiful Pokemon, but also a terrifying Pokemon when you look into its dex entries. 51. Zebstrika, because I love its design. Plus the fact that it is an electric type that does not have to use yellow to indicate its typing. You may not know this about me, but I'm sure you'll understand this if you've watched any of my videos, but I hate the color yellow. Like, I despise it, and I have no idea why, I just do. 50. Lopunny, and honestly, I have no idea why I like Lopunny. I just really do like the thing, but I do not like its Mega. I do not like any Megas. 49. Stantler. Now, I don't remember why I like Stantler so much. I remember it in the anime, but I don't remember why I remember it. I think it's possible that somebody in my family had it on tape or something, the episodes with it from the Johto League, and maybe that's why I watched it so much and this Pokemon's became ingrained in my mind as a Pokemon. But other than that, I really could not tell you why Stantler has somehow made it into the top 50 of my favorite Pokemon. 48. Toxtricity, because I really enjoy the Pokemon. I know I just said how I hate yellow, but this actually seems to work really well with the purple and the yellow counterbalancing each other with a dark and a bright color, so that the yellow isn't so in your face that it's annoying. 47. Growlithe, because James had one in the anime and any of the flashbacks involving it were just adorable. 46. Emolga, because I love the idea of a flying type Pikachu. 45. Sylveon, because it is the cutest evolution that exists to date. 44. Dindine, the best Pikachu clone made to date that is an official Pikachu clone. 43. Miltank. Now, I never had an issue with Whitney's Miltank. I'm sure a lot of people hate Miltank because of that. But to judge a Pokemon based on how a person in a game used it, that just seems like, personally, I feel like you just didn't understand the game, and therefore you want to rationalize that you were not good at the game by saying, no, this person had a cheating Pokemon. I beat her Miltank first try when I was first playing this gold version on my Game Boy Color. So I guess I don't have that negative reaction to Miltank like everyone else, and I think its design is perfectly justified since it is a dairy cow. It exists to be milked in the Pokemon world. 42. Carbink, because it's adorable and I wish I had a plushie of it to cuddle with at night. 41. Weezing, because of Team Rocket from the anime, and because James had it, which is my favorite member of Team Rocket. 40. Darkrai, because it's the Nightmare Pokemon. 39. Gigalith. Now, originally, I did not like Gigalith. I never gave it a chance, but my wife constantly beat me with it in the era of X and Y when she got one. So I started to play with it, test it out, and I ended up falling in love with how it performs in battle, which is not something I normally think about when I'm thinking about a Pokemon. 38. Garbodor, because I actually really like Garbodor. Yeah, it's a pile of garbage, but it's supposed to be a pile of garbage, and it was the replacement in Gen 5 for Gen 1's Muck. And you'll see later that that's on this list as well. So yes, Garbodor is within my top 40 favorite Pokemon. 37. Arbok, because Jesse had it from Team Rocket. 36. Female Indeedee. See, I don't like the male Indeedee. I find it to be too angular, too aggressive looking for what I believe to be a helper Pokemon like Chansey or Audino. So I always lean more towards the female Indeedee, and I feel like their gender differences are enough to actually clarify them as different Pokemon in this situation, since I don't like the design of one, but I really like the design of the other. 35. Kirlia. It's Kirlia. That's all there really is to it. It's Kirlia. 34. Noibat, because it evolves into the only Pokemon that is not a legendary that has flying as its primary type. 33. Grimer, because personally I think Grimer is adorable. 32. Dunsparce. Now, there's a story to go along with Dunsparce being this high on my list. In Gen 2, I did not really have access to the internet, so I did not know the level cap of Pokemon as it was my first generation. I didn't know Pokemon that were non-legendaries couldn't evolve. So, the first Pokemon I ever got to level 100 was Dunsparce, expecting it to evolve. So, in a way, you could say Dunsparce made a dunce out of me, which has always stuck with me, but it's also always proved the fact that if I set my mind to something, as hard or annoying as it might be to complete, I can do it. 31. Pheromosa, because it is by far the most beautiful Ultra Beast in the entire set. I honestly look at it and think of it more as something from not in the Pokemon world and just as a piece of art on its own. That's the only way I can appreciate Ultra Beast, but even when comparing to other Pokemon, I feel like Pheromosa still deserves a spot this high on my list of favorite Pokemon. 30. Zora. I love that it's a little fox that has ginger hair. It looks so aggressive and adorable at the same time. Kind of like a cat who's trying to act moody but actually wants you to pay attention to it. 29. Solarina. I just like the design and the color combination. It's mostly the color combination actually more than the design of the Pokemon that I like in this situation. But it has this calming effect almost because of the colors that they used on it. 28. Diancie, because it should be an evolution to Carbink since it says it's a mutation in the Pokédex. And most evolutions in Pokemon are more like mutations or metamorphosis, not actual evolution by the definition of evolution in the real world. 27. Sunflora. I'll explain more about this one on a later number, so wait for that, please. 26. Salazzle, and I honestly could not tell you why I like Salazzle. I just like Salazzle, and I don't know why, and that actually bugs me quite a bit. 25. Blossom, because of the short prior to the Pokemon 2000s movie. Whenever I think of that movie, my brain goes to the short before it and the Blossoms dancing in it. So, Blossom stays in the top 25 of my favorite Pokemon because of that reason, I think. 24. Eevee. It's Eevee. Who does not like Eevee? Let's be honest here. I don't think there's anybody who truly dislikes Eevee as a Pokemon. 23. Lickitung. I've always really liked Lickitung, and I honestly feel like it was a better teammate for Jessie than Wobbuffet ever would be, even if Wobbuffet has become more iconic. Plus, I feel like the Pokemon Company did it dirty by ever inventing or daring to have the nerve to invent Licky Licky, which is by far the worst 4th gen evolution to a 1st gen Pokemon that could exist. 22. Chikorita. It was my original starter. It's the Pokemon I chose at the beginning of Pokemon Gold, which was the first Pokemon game I chose. It is my first starter Pokemon. 21. Fennekin. The Pokemon I chose in Gen 6 and the games that brought me back into the Pokemon world. I would honestly say this and Chikorita could swap places at any time, and it would make no difference at all. They are my favorite two of the first stage starter Pokemon. Number 20. Rolls. Do I really need to say anything other than it's Rolls? Number 19. Volcarona. The best looking bug type Pokemon to exist. 18. Sunkern. Now this is where I'm going to explain about Sunflora as well because they go together. You see, when I was starting out on the TCG, which is how I originally got into Pokemon way before I ever played one of the games, I had opened a couple of packs, but the first pack I remember specifically getting a Sunkern and Sunflora in the same pack, which was my full evolutionary line. Of course, at the time, me and my family didn't know how to play the game, but it's just something that's always stuck with me due to this. 17. Phanpy, because when I see it, I think of a rubber ducky elephant. Number 16. Zoroark, because it is by far one of the coolest designed Pokemon to date to have a movie based around it. 15. Hatarina, because it carried my team through Pokemon Sword version, which is a big accomplishment in my opinion. 14. Lapras, because it is the only Pokemon that truly looks like it could exist in the real world with a proper skeleton and organal tract, as gross as that might sound. But as a nerd and a geek, those type of things, making it seem like the Pokemon could actually exist in our world, relying on the physics of our world, is just incredible to me. Number 13. Milotic. Now, the first time I got a Milotic was in the original Gen 3 games when you had to catch a Feebas and get its beauty up to full. Now, here's the thing. I did not have internet. I did not have a way to research how to get a Feebas, where they were, or anything like that. So I went through fishing in every location, tile by tile, until I got the Feebas, which took probably a month of play, because I had school and stuff at the time, so I couldn't just play constantly. Then it probably took another week or two of play just to get the beauty up to its highest level. If you've never evolved a Feebas into Milotic the old-fashioned way, you do not understand the pain and pleasure and enjoyment and pride of seeing it finally evolve into a Milotic. So, for me, the effort alone keeps this Pokemon fresh in my mind, so it's impossible for me to ever forget or dislike it. 12. Donphan, because of the opening of the Pokemon's first movie where Ash is battling a Donphan. That's all there really is to it. That scene has always stuck with me, and so Donphan's always stuck with me as a really good Pokemon. Number 11. Gardevoir, which I personally thought would be like top 5 Pokemon, but no, Gardevoir actually falls at number 11, which it's Gardevoir. Almost everyone likes Gardevoir. Personally, I prefer it over Gallade. I don't think Gallade ever needed to be a thing. So for me, Gardevoir is always going to outdo Gallade, and Gallade is kind of a bad imitation. So while you could easily say that Gallade should be here, for me, it is Gardevoir without a doubt that should be at this spot. Number 10. Noivern, a Pokemon that should be a pseudo-legendary but isn't, and by far my favorite Pokemon that I trained during the Gen 6 era. Number 9. Delphox. It is an amazing Fire Witch Fox Pokemon. How can you not love that concept and design? It is something that I just can't get enough of. Number 8. Snorlax. Snorlax is entirely because of the Pokemon TCG Online, where I have a deck called Fat Burner that relies on Welder to speed up energy, and then It relies on Snorlax V, VMAX, and Snorlax and EV Tag Team as its primary attackers, doing over 200 round 2 or 3 to the opponent. Yes, it's not the fastest deck, but it's a deck that no one expects, and it's always fun when you beat somebody with it. Number 7. Mimikyu. By far the best Pikachu clone that is not officially a Pikachu clone, since it was Game Freak openly saying, hey, we know we've made too many clones, but here, have another one poking fun at our own horrible game design and choices. It was amazing because it was like them admitting, hey, we know we have been screwing up, but maybe this will make up for it. Plus, it was an amazing Pokemon and I love its concept. Number 6. Politoed, because Misty had it in the anime, and Misty is my favorite out of all of Ash's female companions. And I already told you I love all King Rock's evolutions, because most of them were Gen 2 evolutions. Actually, I'm pretty sure every King's Rock evolution was a Gen 2 evolution now that I think about it. So, go Gen 2 and go King's Rock. Number 5. Meganium. It was the final stage of the first Pokemon I ever chose, and anytime I want to feel nostalgic, I will go back and play through Gen 2, the originals, not the remakes, with a Chikorita to get to Meganium. It's just something about the original grind with the old design and sounds. It brings such a nostalgic feeling that it would be impossible for me to ever put any other starter above Meganium. Number 4. Although, to be honest, I feel like the top 4 could easily be rearranged in any order because I'm pretty sure I like them all the same amount. But it is Muck. Because, honestly, I had originally planned for Muck to be the mascot of my channel. It's a Pokemon that I just always have loved. I loved how goofy Ash's Muck was in the anime. I loved using it in battle in the Pokemon games. Even the TCG has really good Muck cards that have really been good when you know how to use them. I don't think there's ever been a genre of the Pokemon world where Muck was not somehow compatible or usable. Number 3. Naganadel. Honestly, it is just an amazing Pokemon. I love the fact that one Ultra Beast finally got to evolve, and to know that in the Ultra world, Poipole, which is a starter, evolves into Naganadel in their world. That is bizarre to me and makes me wonder what type of strength other creatures from that world would have. Again, I would love to see a game where we explore that side of the world. Just start us out there, even as a separate game, a side game like XD Gala Darkness or Coliseum or Stadium. Anything like that for it would be just amazing to get to see a glimpse of what that side of it is like. Because if Poipole and Naganadel are starters, I would love to see the other 2 starters that would go along with him. And now, down to the final 2. Number 2, Unknown. I loved collecting all 28 Unknown in gold back in the day. It took forever, the effort to trade with other people with silver and crystal and all that to get them. But I felt so accomplished when I finally got all of the Unknown into the decks. Yeah, it was in their own special area. It was awesome, though. I love variants. That's why Vivian was lower on this list, is because I loved all the variants. And nothing is going to beat the original predecessor of all variants towards Pokemon, which is the Unknown. Number 1 is Umbreon. Now, Umbreon also has a special place in my heart because in Gen 2, back in Gold, I got a shiny Eevee, not knowing it was shiny, and it evolved into a shiny Umbreon. It was the second Pokemon after Dunsparce that I got to level 100. So it will always be a very key Pokemon to me. Plus, throughout the eras of having it, I've actually ended up with 2 Umbreon Gold Star cards, both of which I don't have now. But throughout the years, I've had 2 of them already, and it's just amazing to think about. I love shiny Umbreon. The colors of the neon blue and the almost black gray together, it is a flawless shiny. I don't think anything else could ever compare in shinies. So that is why Umbreon takes the #1 spot on my top 100 favorite Pokemon. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you next time when I choose to explore the wonderful world of Pokemon.